Hey there, welcome back to Fresh Start Budgeting. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I am going to show you a few different things that I do for breakfast, mostly during the week, but that can be prepared ahead of time, that are mostly plant-based. So they do not include dairy, they do not include meat. You can, of course, include those things, but with budget, with food costs rising, it's actually can be a little bit easier to skip those things. And for myself, I went through a period where I was strictly plant-based and it was mostly for health reasons. So that's where a lot of these ideas have come from. Just as a disclaimer to know, I do not use a lot of processed ingredients in these foods. You can definitely make them taste better with some additional sugar or other things that you can add in. And I will include in the description just some different recipes where I've used the ideas from. I don't follow recipes very well, but I've played with these recipes a little bit to get it to be something that I'm more comfortable in eating and preparing myself. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be making is some chia overnight oats. It's similar to chia pudding if you've ever made anything like that. I'm using almond milk here and it's a chocolate variety, but you can use anything, oat milk, regular milk, or even water. I then put in about a tablespoon and a half of cocoa powder and then a tablespoon, but then I end up adding another tablespoon later of chia seeds. So you just put those in the containers, you mix up the container, you can either just mix them up or wrap out. And then here I'm showing kind of what it looks like after doing that. This one is pretty thin itself, which is fine. Like once you add oats, it's going to thicken right up. But this one is pretty thin. So just showing this one here, you can see I've already added the oats in, but the chia seeds have made it already quite thick. This one, I just used the Quaker Instant Oats as the brown sugar, so it actually makes it pretty sweet and pretty delicious. So just mixing that up, and then I'm going to take this one to work with me. So if you're using regular oats, you probably want to leave it overnight for the oats to kind of soften right up. But because these are instant oats, it's almost, within the hour, probably shorter than that you can go ahead and eat this. Then you can add in anything that you want into this. If you want to make this sweet itself, like I use the almond milk, which made it sweet, but you could add in maple syrup or something else to sweeten it up there. And so this is me just taking it off to work. I probably would have added some blueberries or something, and that would have made it better. Okay, so I really like breakfast sandwiches, but I'm going to show you an option to use if you don't have eggs or meat. So this is with tofu and just some other vegetables that I have. I had a red onion on me and that's what I used. And then I had some oyster mushrooms that I cut up and go ahead and put in the pan. And then I had some tomatoes from my garden. So I added those in and just fried them up for a little bit. So from here, I'm adding in like half of a package of medium tofu and actually probably not even that much. I think it was a fifth because that was what the serving size was. And then I added in some taco seasoning and just fried that up a little bit all together to get the flavors all matched up. I had a tortilla wrap and I just added this all into it. If I made extra, I would have wrapped up a bunch and put them in the freezer so I could use them for later. That's what I like to do with my breakfast sandwiches, is make a bunch at a time and then freeze and pull them out of the freezer when I can. So that was my breakfast wrap. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to make for this week is a lentil brownie. I'm pretty sure people have had like the black bean brownies and stuff like this. This is a bit of a play on that, and lentils are super cheap, and I had some green lentils in the pantry, and so I decided to go ahead and use them here. So what you do with this is if you have oat flour, you could use oat flour. I just had oats, and so I went ahead and added those in. I'm throwing in the cocoa powder here, and then along with the baking soda and the baking powder. And I realized I threw in a bit too much, so I had to take some out. But anyways, just blended those up together, and you want to get it pretty fine, and so that's why you can use oat flour if that's something that you have on hand. So after this, I needed some sort of wetness to add into this. I did not want to use egg. I didn't have applesauce on me. I could have made a chia egg, which is just using chia and water and letting that turn into a gel itself. But I decided to go ahead and use tofu. Just mashed it up together. And I wanted to add in the other profiles that I was going to use for the brownie into the tofu so they could kind of bind a little bit. So I used powdered peanut butter and I used maple syrup. I did come back later when I was doing some blending and I did add more maple syrup, but just so you know. I've also added in the vanilla here, and then I decided to add a little bit more moisture with a banana. So I just mashed up that banana as well. From here, just need to blend up all the ingredients together. So I'll pull back out my blender. Unfortunately, I'm a little too close here, but I did add in the tofu, the banana, and then as well the green lentils into this, and then blended it all up until it was really blended, really brought together. This is where I added in a bit more maple syrup. I will caution you that if you are trying to taste this while this is hot, don't do it. That is one thing that I've learned with this recipe is it actually tastes horrible when it's warm. It does taste like some sort of weird bean dish. So put it into that 8.5 by whatever pan, throw it into the oven, and then you need to let it cool, cut it up and let it cool in the fridge because it will actually, it doesn't taste like a brownie per se, but it does taste like some sort of protein bar or breakfast bar, something like that. So just be warned of that piece. So just a couple hands, once you have allowed that to cool, it's been in the fridge, you bring it out the next day. You could drizzle a little bit of maple syrup onto it. You can put some milk in the bowl and eat it with it. It actually tastes really good. It's very hearty, it's very filling. Added a little bit of fruit, and I had that a few different days. It was actually pretty good. Just do not eat it warm. That's my last warning on that one. You'll hate me forever if you taste this recipe when it is straight out of the oven. Okay, so that's it. I wanted to just give you some ideas of different things that I have been eating over the course of the past week and a bit, and things that you can just have easy accessible to you for breakfast, but could also use for lunch or snacks during the day. There's definitely options that you can add into those different recipes. That chia oat pudding, it can just be a chia pudding. You can add different fruits into it or a protein powder into it. When it gets to the breakfast wrap, of course you can add different things. You can add meat and eggs if that's something that you have at home, or you can add a variety of different vegetables or cheese to that. And then the lentil brownie, which we need to find a new recipe or a new name for, most definitely. You could add flax seeds, or you could add protein powders. You could add a number of different things in there that will make it more satiating and probably taste a lot better as well. So I just wanted to put those out there for anybody who's looking for different options for their breakfast time, and see what you guys think. Maybe you could share a video of what it is that you are doing. Okay, thanks so much. I will check in with you guys next time.